Hey guys! Yep, that's right. No fancy intro today, just a boring hello. You frown at me from the other side of the screen. Sheesh, Alex, what do you think I read these for? Do you want me to, hear about how you lived a completely normal life for 2 weeks? Me. Yes? Well, the good news is my life for the last 2 weeks wasn't completely boring, and you don't have to read this, so either way, things don't look too bad. That being said, assuming some of you care, what's been happening in the last 2 weeks? The screen ripples tingly as the music plays in the background, showing I'm lapsing into memory. A few seconds pass. The shot comes back to me, who stares blankly and blinks. Yep, I got nothing. It's surprisingly hard to remember what happened sometimes. Well, the first cool thing that happened was I came up with a point that beat the ENTJ's argument, and hence I'm not losing anymore. Ha! Take that, unnamed ENTJ. But we're going to debate again sometime soon, so who knows what the future holds. What else? Well, you remember how I was asking all those deep questions to customers at work? Scratches the back of his head. Yeah. Turns out that didn't go so well. Basically, I walk into work one day, and although they need checkers, they won't put me on. I'm basically like, why haven't you let me check? And then my little boss is like, yeah, I actually have quite a few bosses. I have I don't know, 4 bosses, maybe 5 bosses. Like there's big boss, and there's big boss, and there's boss, the guy who runs the whole store. Anyway, my little boss was like, someone complained about you, and you've been banned from checking. And then she just left me with that. So I had to spend the next hour bagging, not knowing what I did wrong. Though I suspected it had something to do with my questions, because what else could I have possibly done wrong? Golden halo pops into existence above his head. I mean, I'm just so perfect. You roll your eyes and mumble, yeah, humble too. Just kidding. But it was agony. Just being told, you messed up, boy, but not being told how. I didn't know if any of you ever experienced that, but it's lame. So yeah, when I finally got a break from bagging, I talked to different little boss. We call her Stern Boss. I'm going to call her Mean Boss, but she's not mean per se. She's more like, get it done. I don't care about how you feel. Blinks twice. Actually, that sounds like something I would say as a boss. He ponders the implications of this. Anyway, I talked with Stern Boss, and she was like, yeah, you're in trouble. Boss, the big guy, heard you were doing this, and he's the one who banned you from checking. And then I felt bad because, I hate getting in trouble, even if it's for a good cause. And, 2, I can't ask you questions anymore. Frowns. So yeah, I decided to be positive for the rest of the day, but I only partially succeeded. After that, I lived in dark and gloomy depths of a questionless world. Yeah, it's sad. But yeah, after a few days of not asking questions, I decided to write a paper to my big boss pleading and reasoning for my privileges back, which I thought was pretty good. But he took absolutely ages to respond, and when he did, he just said, you have an interesting thought process. Rubs his hand down his face. It's a bad sign when they use the word interesting. So I was just like, so can I ask you questions again? And to which he was like, it's not up to me. Tears at my hair. You're telling me I wrote the whole paper for you, just for you to say you have no say in the matter? Slams his head on the desk. I mean, I guess I should have seen that coming. After all, the order did come from Big Boss, but, whatever. I didn't write a paper for Big Boss because he's scary. Laughs nervously. So yeah, now my little boss's naughty list, because at one point, Stern Boss pulled me aside and asked, because I asked a customer, what are you looking forward to today? Throws up his hands. You're telling me that's too deep? If I went any shallower, I would be literally talking about the weather. Shakes his head. What is this shallow world coming to? Anyway, yeah, after I've been slowly allowed to check again, they put me on for 30 minutes or an hour most days. I did do some carts in the snow, which was cold, to put it mildly. I've met a few new people, done a bit of maintenance, stocking and all that for the first time. For the most part, it's been good, but it hasn't been all rainbows and unicorns, especially with my questioning privileges revoked. However, I have tried to keep a good attitude, and I still ask my coworkers deep questions occasionally. I think the worst part, though, is I'm not sure if I'm allowed to ask deep questions again I'm not sure if I would ask deep questions again even if I'm allowed. The fact is, asking deep questions is hard work. Talking to people for 8 hours a day is majorly draining, and it's kind of like running. It doesn't really profit me, except in maybe some eternal stuff, and now I'm being forced to stop, so I'm sure, if I'm allowed, maybe I would, but would I really step back up again? So yeah, I've kind of lost my zeal, which is the worst part. So if you could pray God to give me a jump start for that, that would be great. That's about how that happened at work. As for youth and life group, yeah, it's been pretty standard. We did sports outreach, which we didn't actually play sports. It was mostly just 5 groups of people talking as we ran a football around. Also, no one get mad for calling me for me calling it football. I did meet a female INTJ, which is the rarest type in the world, I think. So what are the odds? And that was cool. Oh, I also got to talk to Neo. I mentioned him before, right? And talk about a lot of stuff. He's an annihilationist. So that's interesting. That was good, though. I ended up really enjoying that event. Better than the last one, for sure. Shivers at the memory of the emotion. Other than that, the college service was good. I got a prophecy. The guy was going to encounter me in some miraculous ways and do some cool stuff through me. I'm not sure where I stand on the prophetic right now, but I'm kind of just holding that hey, God, if that's what you're going to do, I'm super looking forward to it. And if it's not, then I'm not placing any of my bets on it. But still cool. The only other eventful thing is I had a socially awkward girl from college group ask me if I was single. Blinks twice. Now, first of all, that's actually the first time that's ever happened to me. Not hard to believe, right? But I was like, yes, but I ain't marrying you. Or anyone. Ever. If by some miracle you don't want a position on getting married, here it is. Don't do it. Just kidding, it's not that simple. But I think it is biblically quite clear that if you can't hack it, then or if you can hack it, it's better not to marry. So yeah, don't send me all your hay meals at once. Anyway, I do not excel in the area of tugs at color, romance, so I'm glad that's over. Hopefully, what else? Oh, hopefully. What else? And at college service, there was a sermon about stepping into the kingdom normal instead of normal, aka having a spiritual mindset, which was good. And it reminded me of how much I get caught up doing stuff and don't pray and read my Bible like I used to. And other than that, it was pretty chill at Life Group. I went on my Wednesday night thing and had a semi-debate with the person teaching apologetics there. And that was okay, but she didn't, do much listening. You stare at me directly. Wonder who that reminds me of. And so it wasn't very good. The other thing that happened is the significance. Oh, that happened of significant spiritualism. I'm talking to an INTP who's an evolutionary creationist. Apparently, rumors are spreading that I'm an evolutionary creationist. Glares a certain Catan-loving person who he suspects to be the cause. But I'm not. At least not yet. I am, however, considering it. And he has some really good points. So we'll see how that goes. He also believes in alien life, which I'm far less convinced of. And that was about it for the spiritual side of things. In the Just Life section of today's article, I got a new iPhone 6 with service. I know, took me long enough. And hence, I'm designing a 3D printed phone case for it. Right now, I've only designed the phone case, or the phone itself, which seems counterintuitive, but it's not. So I hope that goes well. I've also been hanging out with the Myers some more. That's been fun. I ran a 22-minute, 30-second 5K. Yay. And I've been reading very slowly through the Pauline Revelation book Kyle gave me. I told you about that, right? And also through the Python book. Lastly, I have cart duty. Well, it gets pretty boring out there, and thus I decided in my mindless labor to ponder what emotion is. And I came up with some really cool stuff if you ask me. I then wrote a 7-page paper on the subject, and if you want to read it, which I think you definitely should, just ask and I'll send it to you. Oh, and I went on a bike ride around Fort Collins, and me and Grace went rollerblading that night. We also went rollerblading later after I cleaned and greased my blades, a process that took like 2 hours. And they broke. I didn't tighten the screws all the way, and I thought it would make the wheels spin better. Can't see where my logic was flawed, can you? And a wheel popped off, and we couldn't find all the pieces to put it back together. So now, one of my rollerblades only has 3 wheels. Thankfully, because I had my phone with service, you can tell I'm slightly excited about this, I was able to call Mom to pick us up. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and also Ben's in Kansas with Bo and Grandpa. That happened too. And we got a new car for super cheap. Okay, now I think that's it. Talk to you guys later, and you can tune in next week for the next episode of Boring Life with Alex.